My mailbox used to be empty, just bills and grocery flyers. Then the casino envelopes started coming, one per week, then three, then 7 per day. Bright colors, gold letters. Your special, Lorraine? By the time I realized it was a trap, I'd lost everything. Hello, my beautiful sisters. Where are you listening from? Drop your city in the comments below. And if this story touches your heart, please leave a like. My name is Lorraine Johnson. Most people call me Rainy. I'm 71 years old. I live in a small house on Maple Street in a town so quiet you can hear the wind chimes from 3 houses down. I spent 30 years as a librarian at the county library. I know the Dewey Decimal System better than I know my own kitchen. I retired 4 years ago with a pension, Social Security, and $78,000 in savings. Not a fortune, but enough. My husband Robert died 4 years ago. Lung cancer. He was 73. We didn't have children, just each other for 42 years. After he passed, the house became too quiet. I tried filling the silence with books, but even my beloved novels couldn't chase away the loneliness that settled into every corner of our home. I'm not the type to complain. I wake up at 6:30 every morning. I make oatmeal with blueberries. I read the newspaper front to back. I water the plants Robert left behind. But the truth is, some days I talk to those plants just to hear a voice in the house, even if it's my own. It was a Tuesday morning, 6 months after Robert's funeral, when everything started. I walked to the mailbox like I do every day. Bills usually. Grocery store flyers. Sometimes a card from my son who lives in Oregon and calls twice a month if I'm lucky. But that day, there was something different. A bright red envelope. Thick, glossy paper. My name printed in gold letters. Lorraine Johnson. You're invited. I stood there on the sidewalk, holding it like it might disappear. When was the last time anyone invited me to anything? I opened it right there. Inside was a voucher. $50 in free casino play at Riverside Casino. No purchase necessary. No strings attached. And at the bottom, in cheerful script, Happy early birthday, Lorraine. Come celebrate with us. My birthday was 2 weeks away. I would be turning 72. I hadn't told anyone my birthday was coming, not even my son, but somehow they knew. I'm not a gambler. Never have been. Robert and I went to a casino exactly once, 20 years ago, on a weekend trip to the state fair. We each played $5 on the slot machines, lost it all in 10 minutes, and went to get funnel cake instead. But this was different. This wasn't about gambling. This was about being remembered, about someone, somewhere, thinking I was special enough to send a gold envelope. I looked at the voucher again. Valid any day this month. We can't wait to see you. I folded it carefully and put it in my purse. 2 days later, I was still thinking about it. I told myself it was silly. I'm 71 years old. I don't need free casino money. But the house was so quiet, and I had nowhere else to be. On Thursday afternoon, I got in my car and drove 23 minutes to Riverside Casino. It sits on the river just outside town. A low brick building with bright lights even in the daytime. The parking lot was half full. I parked near the entrance and sat in my car for 5 minutes, trying to decide if I should go in. Finally, I took a breath and walked through the front doors. The noise hit me first. Bells, music, machines dinging and chiming, lights flashing in every color, people laughing, shouting, groaning. It was overwhelming, but also alive. I stood in the entrance, clutching my purse, feeling completely out of place. First time here? I turned. A young woman in a Riverside Casino uniform was smiling at me. She had a name tag that said, Jessica. Yes, I said. I received this in the mail. I handed her the red envelope. Jessica's smile grew wider. Oh, you're a birthday girl. Congratulations. Let me get you set up. She walked me to a desk near the entrance. Another employee, a man in his 40s, took my driver's license and typed something into a computer. Okay, Miss Lorraine, he said. I'm issuing you a player's card. This tracks your play and earns you rewards. And I'm loading your $50 of free play right now. He handed me a plastic card with my name on it. I stared at it. It looked official. Important. Just insert this into any slot machine, Jessica said. The $50 will show up on the screen. Have fun. I walked onto the casino floor, card in hand. Rows and rows of slot machines stretched out in front of me. Hundreds of them. Some looked like old-fashioned machines with cherries and sevens. Others had elaborate video screens with dragons, pyramids, and cartoon characters. I had no idea where to start. I picked a machine near the back, away from the crowd. It had a picture of a garden with butterflies. It seemed friendly. I sat down, inserted my card. The screen lit up. Welcome, Lorraine. Free play balance $50. I pressed a button labeled Spin. The reel spun. Butterflies fluttered across the screen. Music played. 3 butterflies lined up. Winner, $10. The machine made a cheerful sound. My balance jumped to $60. I smiled. I pressed spin again. 2 hours later, I was still sitting there. My $50 had grown to $123. I wasn't winning big, just small amounts here and there. $5, $8, $12. But every time I won, the machine celebrated. Lights flashed. Music played. It felt good. For the first time in months, I felt something other than loneliness. I decided to cash out. I pressed the button, and the machine printed a voucher for $123. I walked to the cashier cage, handed over the slip, and received 6 $20 bills and 3 ones. Profit $73. Not bad for a Thursday afternoon. As I walked toward the exit, Jessica from earlier waved at me. How'd you do? I won $73, I said, trying not to sound too proud. That's amazing. Beginner's luck. She leaned in. You know, we have specials every week. Free play for members. You should come back. I nodded politely. Maybe, but as I drove home, I was already thinking about it. That night, I made dinner. Chicken breast and steamed broccoli. I ate alone at the kitchen table, like always, but I kept looking at the cash on the counter. $73, not a lot. But I'd earned it, and for 2 hours I hadn't thought about Robert or the quiet house, or the fact that no one needed me anymore. I just existed, in the lights and noise and motion. It had felt nice. The next Wednesday, another envelope arrived. Bright blue this time. Lorraine, welcome back. Here's $25 in free play just for you. I opened it at the mailbox. Inside was another voucher. Another invitation. I stood there, holding it, feeling that same flutter of being remembered, of being wanted. I put it in my purse. On Saturday, I went back. This time, I didn't hesitate in the parking lot. I walked straight in, card in hand. Jessica wasn't there, but another host greeted me by name. Lorraine, good to see you again. How did he know my name? I smiled and nodded. I found my butterfly machine, inserted my card, played the $25 of free play. This time, I added $50 of my own money. I told myself it was fine. I'd won last time. I'd probably win again. But 3 hours later, my balance was $0. I'd lost $75. I sat there staring at the screen. The butterflies weren't fluttering anymore. The music had stopped. I felt a strange tightness in my chest. It's okay, I told myself. You won last time. You'll win next time. I stood up and walked to the exit. On my way out, I passed a woman about my age, sitting at a machine, feeding in $20 bills one after another. She looked tired. I wondered how long she'd been there. When I got home, I opened my wallet. I had $342 left from my monthly budget. $75 was gone. It's fine, I told myself. You have savings. You have a pension. You can afford a little fun. But that night, lying in bed, I couldn't stop thinking about the butterfly machine, about the way the music played when I won, about the way the lights celebrated me. I fell asleep thinking maybe I'll go back next Wednesday, just to see. The third envelope arrived on a Tuesday. I was waiting for it. I'd checked the mailbox 3 times that morning, even though the mail carrier doesn't come until 2 in the afternoon. When I finally heard the mailbox creak open, I was at the door within seconds. There it was. Purple this time. Lorraine, it's Triple Tuesday. Your $25 becomes $75. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was the voucher. And at the bottom, in bold letters, today only. Offer expires at midnight. Today only. I looked at the clock. 2:15. If I left now, I could be there by 3. I told myself I was just going to use the free $75. Nothing more. But when I got to the casino and inserted my card, I saw my rewards balance had grown. Congratulations, Lorraine. You've earned $15 in bonus play, $90 total, all free. I felt a surge of excitement. See, I told myself, they're rewarding me for being a member. This is smart. I found my butterfly machine and started playing. Within 30 minutes, my $90 had grown to $140. I was up $50. I should have stopped, but the machine was hot. I could feel it. Just a little longer. 1 hour later, my balance was $12. I stared at the screen, my stomach tight. How did that happen? I'd been winning. I'd been up $50. I inserted a $20 bill just to get back to even. 2 hours later, I walked out of the casino, $135 poorer. I sat in my car, hands on the steering wheel, trying to understand what had just happened. I'd gone in with free money. I should have left with free money. But instead, I'd lost more than I'd lost last time. My chest felt heavy. It's okay, I told myself. You'll win it back next time. But a small voice in the back of my mind whispered, what if you don't? I didn't go back the next week. I told myself I needed a break, that I was being smart, responsible. But on Wednesday afternoon, I found myself checking the mailbox 4 times. No envelope came. I felt strangely disappointed. Had they forgotten about me? On Thursday, I checked again. Nothing. By Friday, I was convinced they'd removed me from their list, that I wasn't special anymore. I felt ridiculous. I'm 71 years old. I shouldn't care about casino mail. But I did. On Saturday morning, my phone rang. I almost didn't answer. Nobody calls me except telemarketers. But the caller ID said, Riverside Casino. I picked up. Hello? Hi, is this Lorraine? A cheerful female voice. Yes, this is Stephanie from Riverside Casino. I noticed you haven't been in this week, and I just wanted to check in. Is everything okay? I was stunned. They called me. They noticed I was gone. Oh, I said. Yes, everything's fine. I've just been busy. I'm so glad to hear that, Stephanie said. Well, I wanted to let you know we have a special promotion today. If you come in before 6 p.m., we'll match your first $50 of play. So if you put in 50, you'll have 100 to play with. My heart beat faster. $100 for only 50. That's very generous, I said. You're one of our valued guests, Lorraine. We miss you. After we hung up, I sat on the couch, staring at the phone. They missed me. I told myself I wouldn't go. But at 4:30, I was in my car. I put in $50, just like Stephanie said. The machine showed 100. This time, I'm going to be smart, I told myself. I'll play until I'm up $50, and then I'll stop. No matter what, but the machine was cold. 30 minutes in, my $100 was down to 40. I inserted another 20, just to give myself more chances. An hour later, I was inserting my 5th $20 bill. When I finally walked out, I'd lost $170, the most I'd ever lost in one visit. I cried in the car, not loud, heaving sobs, just quiet tears that rolled down my cheeks as I sat in the parking lot, watching people walk in and out of the casino. What am I doing? I'm a librarian. I'm careful. I'm responsible. But somehow, in just 3 weeks, I'd lost $280. That was my grocery budget for a month. I drove home in silence. That night, I opened my bank account on my laptop. Checking account $2,134. Savings account $78,000. I've been dipping into my checking account. Not my savings. As long as I don't touch the savings, I'm fine, I told myself. The savings are for emergencies. This isn't an emergency. This is just a rough patch. I'll win it back. The next envelope came on Wednesday. Gold again. Lorraine, you're a gold member now. Here's $50 in free play, plus a free buffet lunch. Gold member. I turned the card over in my hands, feeling the weight of it. I'm special, I thought. They're giving me gold status. That means something. I went that Saturday. The buffet was mediocre. Soggy green beans and dry chicken. But it was free, and I didn't have to eat alone at my kitchen table. I played for 4 hours, lost $90, but I'd had a free lunch. So really, I only lost $70. That's what I told myself. By the end of the second month, I was going twice a week. Wednesdays and Saturdays, it became a routine. I'd wake up on Wednesday morning, and the first thing I'd think was, is there an envelope today? Most weeks there was. Free $25. Double points today. Spin the bonus wheel when you arrive. I started to recognize the other regulars. An older man who always sat at the same poker machine. A woman with a purple coat who played the penny slots for hours without moving. We never spoke, but we nodded at each other. We were part of the same club. One Saturday, Jessica found me at my machine. Lorraine, I have great news. You've earned enough points for a free hotel night. I looked up, surprised. A hotel night? Yes, you can use it anytime. We have a beautiful hotel upstairs, spa, room service, everything. I didn't need a hotel room. I lived 23 minutes away, but it felt good to be offered. Thank you, I said. I'll think about it. Jessica smiled. You're one of our best guests, Lorraine. We really appreciate you. Best guess. I sat a little straighter. That night, I calculated how much I'd lost over 2 months. $840. I stared at the number in my notebook. 840. That was more than I expected. But I'd also won money on several visits. The problem was I kept playing after I won. Next time, I'll stop when I'm ahead, I told myself. Next time will be different. On Monday morning, I got another phone call. Hi, Lorraine. This is Marcus from Riverside Casino. A man's voice. Deep, warm. We're hosting a special VIP event this Thursday evening. Complimentary wine and appetizers, and every guest gets $100 in free play. You're invited. VIP event. Oh, I said. I don't know if I... You've been such a loyal guest, Marcus said. We'd really love to see you there. It's a chance to meet other members and try some of our new machines. Other members. A chance to belong. What time? I asked. 6 p.m. I'll put your name on the list. Thursday evening, I arrived at 6. The casino had set up a section near the back with tables covered in white cloth. There were cheese platters, crackers, small sandwiches, and plastic cups of red and white wine. About 30 people were there, most of them older, like me. Marcus greeted me at the entrance. He was younger than I expected, maybe 40. He wore a dark suit and had a kind smile. Lorraine, I'm so glad you made it. He handed me a card. Here's your $100. Enjoy the food and have fun. I took the card, feeling important. Someone had put my name on a list. Someone was glad I'd made it. I ate a small plate of cheese and crackers. The wine was too sweet, but I drank half a glass anyway. Then I went to the machines. With $100 of free play, I lasted an hour and a half. Then I added $60 of my own. By the time I left, I'd lost $120 total. But it had been a special night. I'd been invited. I'd been wanted. On the drive home, I told myself it was worth it. The next morning, I checked my bank account. Checking $903. Saving $78,000. I hadn't touched the savings. I was still okay. But that afternoon, another envelope came. Bright red. Lorraine, weekend special. $75 free play if you visit Saturday or Sunday. I held it in my hands. I'd already been twice this week. I should wait. But $75 free. I put the envelope on the kitchen counter and stared at it for an hour. On Saturday morning, I got in my car. 3 months in, the envelopes started coming faster. 2 per week became 3, then 4. Tuesday, double points day, $25 free. Wednesday, hot machine bonus, $50 if you play before noon. Friday, weekend kickoff, $35, plus a free drink voucher. Saturday, midnight magic, triple rewards after 8 p.m. My mailbox became a slot machine. Every day, I pulled the little door open, hoping for a winner. Most days, there was something. I started planning my week around the envelopes. On Sunday night, I'd lay out the coupons I'd received that week and decide which ones to use. Some had expiration dates, valid today only. Others were good for a week. I made a system. I used a small calendar on my refrigerator and wrote down which coupon I'd use on which day. It felt organized, responsible, like I was managing something instead of something managing me. By the 4th month, I was going 3 times a week, sometimes 4. My checking account was dwindling. I'd started the year with $3,500. Now it was down to $127. One afternoon, I got a notice in the mail. Property taxes due, $890. I stared at it. I didn't have $890 in my checking account. For the first time, I opened my savings account on my laptop. $78,000. I sat there for a long time, cursor hovering over the transfer button. If I take out $5,000, I'll have plenty for taxes and expenses. And when I win, I'll put it back. I transferred $5,000. It felt like crossing a line I'd promised myself I'd never cross. But it's temporary, I told myself, just until I win. The next week, I went to the casino 4 times. I lost $2,300. The week after that, I lost $1,800. My savings account dropped to $70,000, then $68,000, then $65,000. I stopped checking. One morning, I walked to the mailbox and opened it. 7 envelopes. I stood there on the sidewalk holding them, feeling a strange mix of excitement and dread. 7. They were all different colors, all different offers. Morning madness, free $50 before 10 a.m. Lucky lunch, $25 plus free buffet. Afternoon delight, $75 after 2 p.m. I looked up and saw my neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, watering her flowers. She was staring at me, at the stack of bright envelopes in my hands. I smiled and waved. She nodded slowly and went back to her flowers. I walked inside, my face hot. That afternoon, my phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. Hi, Lorraine. It's Marcus from Riverside. Just wanted to let you know machine B17 is running hot today. If you can make it by 5 p.m., I think you'll have a great session. I stared at the message. He texted me. Personally. He was looking out for me. I texted back, thank you, I'll try to make it. 3 dots appeared. He was typing. You're one of my favorite guests. See you soon. Favorite guests. I smiled and put the phone down. I went that evening. Machine B17 was in the back corner near the restrooms. It had a jungle theme with parrots and monkeys. I sat down and inserted my card. I played for 2 hours, lost $340. The machine wasn't hot. It was ice cold. But Marcus had said it was hot. Maybe I just missed the window. Maybe someone else won on it right before I got there. The text messages became regular. 2 or 3 times a week, Marcus would send me a message. Hey, Lorraine, haven't seen you this week. Miss you. Rainey, we're doing a flash promotion tonight. Free $75 if you check in before 8. Lorraine, I saved you a seat at the high-limit room tomorrow. Let me know if you're interested. High-limit room. I'd never been to the high-limit room. I texted back, what's the minimum bet? Only $5. But the payouts are better. You'd love it. The next day, I went. The high-limit room was quieter, darker. The machines looked fancier. Marcus met me at the entrance. He was wearing his usual suit, his smile warm and genuine. Lorraine, I'm so glad you came. Let me show you around. He walked me to a machine near the back. It had a lotus flower design. This one's my personal favorite, he said. I've seen people win big here. I sat down. The minimum bet was $5 per spin. That was 5 times what I usually played. But Marcus said the payouts were better. I inserted $200. 40 spins later, it was gone. I inserted another $200. Gone in 30 minutes. Marcus stopped by. How's it going? Not great, I admitted. He leaned in, his voice low. Want some advice? Sometimes you have to push through the cold streak. The machine's about to hit. I can feel it. I looked at him. He'd been working here for years. He would know. I inserted another $200. I left the casino that night having lost $900. The most I'd ever lost in a single visit. I sat in my car, hands shaking. $900. That was half a month's income. I opened my banking app, saving $62,400. I lost $16,000 in 6 months. $16,000. I closed the app and stared out the windshield. How did this happen? That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, doing math in my head. If I go tomorrow and use the $75 coupon, and I add 100 of my own, that's $175. If I can turn that into 400, I'll be up $225. $225 would cover most of what I lost tonight. I just need one good session, one big win, then I'll stop. I'll take a break, maybe a whole month. I rolled over and closed my eyes, but all I could see were the spinning reels, the flashing lights, the numbers climbing, falling, climbing again. At 3 in the morning, I got up and walked to the kitchen. I opened the drawer where I kept the coupons. There were 32 of them, some expired, some still valid. I spread them out on the table and started organizing them by value. 75, 50, 35, 25. If I used them strategically, I could get almost $600 in free play over the next 2 weeks. $600. That was real money. I just had to be smart about it. I sat there until 4:30 in the morning, planning my schedule. The next day, I went to the bank. I withdrew $2,000 in cash from my savings account. The teller looked at me. Is everything okay, Mrs. Johnson? Yes, I said quickly. Just some home repairs. She nodded and counted out the bills. I put them in my purse and left. That week, I went to the casino 4 times. I used every coupon. I played every promotion. By Sunday, the $2,000 was gone, and I'd lost another $1,200 on top of it. Total loss that week, $3,200. I sat on my couch, staring at nothing. Somewhere in the back of my mind, a voice whispered, "You need to stop." But another voice, louder, said, "You're so close. One more session, one big win, and you'll be back to even. Just one more." On Monday, another text from Marcus. "Lorraine, we're launching a new VIP rewards program. You qualify. Come in this week and I'll explain the benefits. You're going to love it. VIP rewards." I texted back, "What day works best?" "Anytime. I'm here Tuesday through Saturday. Just let me know." I looked at my calendar. I'd been to the casino 6 times in the last 2 weeks. I should take a break. But VIP rewards, that sounded important. I texted back, "I'll come Wednesday." Marcus replied immediately, "Perfect. See you then, Rainey." I put the phone down and looked around my quiet house. The plants Robert had left behind were wilting. I'd forgotten to water them. I walked to the sink, filled a glass, and poured water into the first pot. The soil was bone dry. The water pooled on top, taking a long time to soak in. I watered the second plant. The third. By the fourth, I was crying. I didn't know why. I just stood there, glass in hand, tears running down my face. That night, I got a credit card offer in the mail. Pre-approved, $5,000 limit. I stared at it. I'd never carried credit card debt in my life. Robert and I had always paid cash for everything. But my checking account was nearly empty. My savings were disappearing, and I still had coupons to use, opportunities to win. I filled out the application and mailed it the next day. 2 weeks later, the credit card arrived. $5,000 limit. I activated it immediately. That Saturday, I went to the casino and withdrew $2,000 in cash advance from the card. The ATM charged me a $50 fee. I didn't care. I had $2,000. This was it. This was the session that would turn everything around. 6 hours later, I walked out with nothing. I drove home in silence. When I got to my house, I sat in the driveway for 20 minutes, unable to move. Finally, I went inside. I didn't turn on the lights. I just sat on the couch in the dark. At some point, I fell asleep, and in my dreams, I was back at the casino. The lights were flashing. The music was playing, and the machine said, "Winner, winner, winner." But when I looked down, the balance was 0. It was a Sunday afternoon, 7 months into my new routine, when someone knocked on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. My son calls, but he doesn't visit. He lives in Oregon. That's 2,000 miles away. I walked to the door and looked through the peephole. A young man stood on my porch holding a bouquet of flowers. I opened the door a crack. "Can I help you?" He smiled. A warm, genuine smile. "Aunt Rainey?" I blinked. "Brandon?" He nodded. "It's been a while." Brandon was my late husband's nephew, Robert's younger brother's son. I hadn't seen him in 5 years, not since Robert's funeral. He was 35 now, tall, clean cut, wearing a nice jacket and jeans. "What are you doing here?" I asked, still holding the door. "I heard you were living alone," he said. "I wanted to check in. Make sure you're okay." He held out the flowers. Daisies, my favorite. I opened the door wider. We sat in the living room. I made tea. Brandon looked around, his expression concerned. "Aunt Rainey, are you managing okay? This is a big house for one person." "I'm fine," I said quickly. "I keep busy." He nodded slowly. "I'm sorry I haven't visited sooner. Work's been crazy. But I was thinking about Uncle Robert recently, and I realized I should be checking in on you." My throat tightened. Nobody checked in on me. "That's very kind," I said softly. Brandon smiled. "Your family. That's what family does." He stayed for 2 hours. He fixed a loose hinge on the kitchen cabinet. He changed a light bulb in the hallway that I'd been putting off for weeks. He even mowed the front lawn. "You don't have to do that," I protested. I want to, he said. Uncle Robert would want me to look after you. By the time he left, I was close to tears. Thank you, Brandon. Really? He hugged me. I'll come back next weekend. I'll help with anything you need. I watched him drive away, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. The following Saturday, Brandon returned. He brought groceries. I know how expensive food is these days. I picked up some basics for you. I tried to pay him, but he waved me off. Family doesn't charge family, Aunt Rainey. We had lunch together. Sandwiches and soup. Afterward, he helped me organize the garage. That's when he saw them. The envelopes. I'd been throwing the used coupons in a box near the recycling bin. There were dozens of them. Brandon picked one up. Riverside Casino? My face flushed. Oh, those. Sometimes I go. Just for fun. He looked at me, then at the pile of envelopes. I braced myself for judgment. For a lecture. But Brandon just smiled. Uncle Robert used to go to the riverboat casino sometimes. He said it was relaxing. I exhaled. Yes, it's something to do. Brandon nodded. I've never been. Is it fun? I hesitated. It can be. He grinned. Maybe I'll try it sometime. The next Saturday, Brandon showed up with a suggestion. Aunt Rainey, would you want to go to the casino together? I've been curious, and it might be fun to go with someone who knows what they're doing. I looked at him, surprised. You want to go? With me? Why not? We could make an afternoon of it. I felt a flutter of excitement. Someone wanted to spend time with me. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Okay, I said. Let's go. Brandon drove. On the way, he asked questions. So, how does it work? Do you just pick a machine? I explained the basics. Players' cards, free play, slot machines. He listened intently, nodding. You really know your stuff, Aunt Rainey. I felt a small surge of pride. When we arrived, I showed him how to get a player's card. The staff recognized me immediately. Lorraine, good to see you. Jessica waved from the desk. Brandon raised his eyebrows. Wow, they know you by name. You must come here a lot? I felt a prick of shame. Just regularly, I said. We played for 3 hours. Brandon started with $50 and lost it within an hour. Man, these machines are tough, he laughed. How do you do it? You just have to be patient, I said. But my own luck wasn't great that day either. I'd started with $150 in free play and $200 of my own money. By the time we left, I'd lost $450. Brandon had lost $50. On the drive home, he was cheerful. That was fun. We should do this again. I forced a smile. $450. That was more than I'd planned to spend. But the following Saturday, Brandon texted me. Aunt Rainey, want to hit the casino today? I've got the afternoon free. I hesitated. I'd already been twice that week. But Brandon was offering to spend time with me. How could I say no? Sure, come by at 2. Over the next 3 weeks, we went to the casino 4 times together. Every time, Brandon would lose a small amount. $50, maybe $70. And every time, I'd lose significantly more. $300, $500, once $800. But I didn't mind. Because I wasn't alone. Brandon would sit next to me, cheering when I won, groaning when I lost. You're so close, Aunt Rainey. One more spin. That machine owes you. Keep going. It felt good. Like having a friend. A partner? One afternoon, after a particularly bad session, Brandon drove me home. I was quiet. I'd lost $600 that day. You okay? He asked. I'm fine. Just not my day. He nodded thoughtfully. You know, I've been reading about casino strategies online. I glanced at him. Strategies? Yeah. Apparently, if you play at higher denominations, you get better payback percentages, and you earn rewards faster. I frowned. Higher denominations? Like instead of betting 50 cents, you bet $5. The machines are programmed to pay out more at higher levels. I wasn't sure that was true, but Brandon sounded confident. And, he continued, I read that casinos give you rebates if you lose over a certain amount. Like, if you lose $500, they give you $50 back. It's like insurance. I perked up. Really? Yeah, it's called a loss rebate. You should ask about it. The next time I went, I asked Marcus about rebates. He smiled. Absolutely. For VIP players like you, we offer 10% cash back on losses over $200. 10%. That meant if I lost $500, I'd get $50 back. So I wasn't really losing 500. I was losing 450. That made it easier. I started betting higher. $2 per spin, $5. The money disappeared faster. But I told myself I'd get some of it back. One evening, Brandon was at my house, helping me set up a new lamp. Aunt Rainey, are you using all your player benefits? Sometimes casinos hide rewards and don't tell you. I think so, I said. Can I check? I'll log into your account online and make sure you're getting everything. I handed him my phone. He tapped through the casino app, nodding. Okay, looks like you've got $180 in rewards. You should use those. I didn't know I had that much. He smiled. See, that's why it's good to check. But what I didn't see was Brandon noting other details. Total play over 9 months, $340,000. Total losses, $34,000. Current tier gold. He handed the phone back, his expression neutral. But inside, his mind was racing. 34,000. That meant her savings were still substantial. Probably 40 or 50,000 left. Maybe more. He needed to be patient. Over the next few weeks, Brandon became a fixture in my life. He'd text every few days. How are you, Aunt Rainey? Need anything from the store? Want to grab lunch this weekend? And often, want to hit the casino? I said yes almost every time. Because for the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. One Saturday, after another losing session, I sat in the passenger seat of Brandon's car, staring out the window. I'd lost $700 that day. My checking account was nearly empty again. I'd have to transfer more from savings. Brandon glanced at me. You okay? I nodded, not trusting my voice. He reached over and squeezed my hand. Aunt Rainey, I'm really glad we've been spending time together. It means a lot to me. My eyes filled with tears. It means a lot to me, too. He smiled. Uncle Robert would be happy we're looking out for each other. I nodded, wiping my eyes. Looking out for each other. That's what family did. But that night, after Brandon dropped me off, I sat alone in my living room. I opened my banking app. Savings $48,200. I'd started the year with $78,000. I'd lost $30,000. $30,000. I closed the app and stared at the wall. How did I let this happen? My phone buzzed. A text from Brandon. Thanks for today, Aunt Rainey. You're the best. Let's do it again next week. I stared at the message. Next week. I should say no. I should tell him I need a break. But the thought of going back to being alone? I typed back, sounds good. He replied immediately with a smiley face. I put the phone down and looked around my empty house. At least I had Brandon. At least I wasn't alone. But upstairs, in his apartment across town, Brandon sat at his kitchen table, scrolling through his own bank account. Negative $142. Credit card debt $12,000. And a text message from someone named Vic. You owe me $45K. Payment overdue. Don't make me come find you. Brandon stared at the message, jaw tight. He needed money. And Aunt Rainey had $48,000 sitting in savings. Maybe more once she sold the house. He just needed to be patient, keep her trust, keep her gambling. And eventually, when her mind started slipping, when the cognitive decline that came with age and stress and isolation set in, he'd step in. As her loving nephew, her caretaker, her legal guardian. Brandon put the phone down and smiled. It was all going according to plan. 10 months in, I started noticing things. Small things. Things I told myself didn't matter. But they added up. One Tuesday afternoon, I got a text from Brandon. Aunt Rainey, machine B22 just hit big. You should go check it out. I grabbed my purse and drove to the casino. When I walked in, I saw Brandon sitting at a poker machine near the entrance. I walked over confused. Brandon, what are you doing here? He looked up, startled. Oh, Aunt Rainey, I was bored. Thought I'd try my luck. But you just texted me to come, right? Yeah. I thought if I was coming anyway, you might want to join. He smiled, but something about it felt off. How did he know I'd come right away? I pushed the thought aside. The envelopes kept coming, but now there were more of them. 8 per day, sometimes 10. Every single one urged me to bet higher. Play $500, get $100 back. High rollers earn triple points. Bet big, win big. I sat at my kitchen table one morning, staring at the pile. Why were they pushing me to bet so much? I'd never bet $500 at once in my life, but the offers were tempting. If I bet 501, I could win thousands, enough to cover everything I'd lost. I went to the bank to withdraw $8,000 from my savings. The teller, a woman named Susan, processed the request slowly. Mrs. Johnson, she said carefully, is everything okay? Yes. Why? You've withdrawn $35,000 this year. I felt my face flush. It's my money. I know. If someone is pressuring you, or if you need help. I don't need help. My voice came out sharper than I intended. Susan nodded and handed me the cash. But as I left, I saw her watching me with worry in her eyes. The following Tuesday, I went to the casino alone. I'd told Brandon I had errands to run. I needed a day to myself, to think. I was standing in line at the ATM when I saw him. Brandon. He was 3 people ahead of me, withdrawing cash. I froze. What was he doing here? He'd said he had to work today. When he finished, he turned and saw me. His face went pale. Aunt Rainey. Brandon, I thought you had work. Yeah. It got canceled. Last minute. He was lying. I could see it in his eyes. So you came here? Just for a bit. I was nearby. Nearby. The casino was 23 minutes from town. Right, I said quietly. We stood there for a moment. Then Brandon smiled. Want to play together? No. I think I'll go home. I turned and walked out. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the look on Brandon's face. The surprise. The lie. Why would he lie about being at the casino? Unless he was there more often than he told me. Unless he had his own problem. I told myself I was being paranoid. Brandon was helping me. He cared about me. But the doubt was there now, a small crack in the foundation. A week later, I went to collect my rebate from Marcus. $380. But when I got to the player's desk, a new employee was there. A young man I didn't recognize. Hi, I'm here to collect my lost rebate, I said. He typed into the computer. Okay, Mrs. Johnson, your rebate is $380. But just so you know, rebates only apply to monthly losses over $5,000. I blinked. What? The 10% rebate. It's only for losses over $5,000 in a calendar month. But I was told it applies to losses over $200. He frowned. No, ma'am. It's $5,000. Always has been. My stomach dropped. Brandon had told me $200. He'd told me it was like insurance. He'd lied. I didn't confront him. I didn't know how. Instead, I watched. And I started seeing more cracks. Brandon came over on Saturday to check my player benefits again. He asked for my phone. I unlocked it and handed it to him. He scrolled through the casino app, nodding. But I noticed he was writing something down in a small notebook. What are you writing? I asked. Oh, just the dates of upcoming promotions. But from where I sat, I could see he was looking at my account balance screen, not the promotions page. My account balance. The following week, Brandon was at my house when his phone rang. He glanced at the screen. Vic? He stood up quickly. I need to take this. He walked outside. I sat on the couch, listening. Through the window, I could hear his voice, low and urgent. I know. By next week, I promise. I know. His tone was different. Scared. When he came back inside, he was smiling again. Sorry. Work stuff? Who's Vic? I asked. My boss. But his voice was tight, and I didn't believe him. My neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, knocked on my door one afternoon. Lorraine, can I talk to you? I invited her in. She sat on the edge of the couch, looking uncomfortable. I don't want to overstep, but is your nephew reliable? Brandon? Yes. Why? My friend Dorothy had a nephew who helped her after her husband died. At first, he seemed wonderful. But then, he started taking money, little by little. My jaw tightened. Brandon isn't like that. I'm sure he's not. Dorothy lost everything. Her house, her savings. And by the time she realized, it was too late. Brandon is helping me, I said firmly. Mrs. Patterson nodded slowly. Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure you're okay. After she left, I sat in my living room, angry. How dare she compare Brandon to some thief? Brandon was family. But a small voice whispered, what if she's right? Over the next 3 weeks, I went to the casino 6 times by myself. And 4 of those times, Brandon happened to be there. Oh, Aunt Rainey, what a coincidence. Once was a coincidence. Twice was luck. But 4 times? I started to wonder. Was he following me? Did he know when I was going? But how? It was a Saturday afternoon, 11 months into this nightmare, when I finally saw the truth. Brandon and I had gone to the casino together. I excused myself to use the restroom. On my way back, I stopped to check my player points at a kiosk near the hallway. That's when I heard voices around the corner. Brandon's voice. And Marcus's. I froze. Mrs. Johnson's monthly loss is $4,200, Marcus was saying. Right on track. Good, Brandon replied. Keep it up. You want me to push her toward higher denominations? Yeah. I'll tell her it's a strategy. Marcus laughed. When do I get my cut? Next month. After she sells the house. My blood turned to ice. I stood there, hidden by the corner, unable to move. After she sells the house, Brandon wasn't helping me. He was using me. He and Marcus were working together. I don't know how long I stood there. It felt like hours. Finally, I forced myself to move. I walked back to the slot machine where I'd left my purse. Brandon was sitting there, scrolling through his phone. Hey, you okay? He asked when he saw me. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Ready to go? He asked. Yes. We drove home in silence. Brandon tried to make conversation, but I gave short answers. When he dropped me off, he hugged me. Love you, Aunt Rainey. I stood there, stiff. You too. He drove away. I walked inside and locked the door. And then I collapsed onto the couch and cried. That night, I opened my laptop. Savings account $35,200. I'd started the year with $78,000. Credit card debt $9,800. Total lost $43,000. $43,000. And Brandon wanted more. He wanted the house. He wanted everything. I closed the laptop and stared at the dark screen. What do? I couldn't tell anyone. They'd think I was paranoid or senile. Mrs. Patterson had tried to warn me, and I'd shut her down. My son barely called. He wouldn't believe me. And Brandon. Brandon was all I had, even if he was lying, even if he was using me. He was the only person who showed up. I sat in the dark for a long time. And then I made a decision. I would watch him. I would find proof. And then, I didn't know what I'd do then. But I couldn't keep living like this. The next morning, Brandon texted. Morning, Aunt Rainey. Want to grab breakfast? I stared at the message. Finally, I typed back, sure, because I needed to keep him close. If I was going to find proof, I had to play along, even if it broke my heart. I spent 30 years as a librarian. People think librarians just stamp books and shelve returns. But we're researchers, investigators. We know how to find information that people try to hide. And now I was going to use those skills. The morning after I overheard Brandon and Marcus, I woke up with a plan. I made coffee. I sat at my kitchen table with a notebook and a pen, and I started writing down everything. Every time Brandon had coincidentally been at the casino, every piece of advice he'd given me, every envelope that had arrived after his visits. I wrote for 2 hours. When I finished, I had 4 pages of notes, and patterns started to emerge. Pattern 1, the envelopes. Before Brandon started visiting, I received 4 to 6 coupons per week. After Brandon started visiting, I received 8 to 12 per week. And the increase happened within 1 week of his first visit. Someone had changed my mailing preferences, someone who had access to my player account. Pattern 2, the timing. Every time Brandon texted me about a hot machine, he was already at the casino when I arrived. How did he know I would come? Unless he was tracking me somehow, or unless he knew my schedule better than I realized. Pattern 3, the advice. Every strategy Brandon had suggested led to bigger losses. Bet higher. Play longer. Chase losses. None of it was designed to help me win. It was designed to make me lose more. I closed the notebook and stared at it. This wasn't coincidence. This was a plan. And I needed proof. That afternoon, I drove to the library. My old workplace, the building where I'd spent 3 decades. Some of the staff still remembered me. Lorraine, what brings you in? Just doing some research, I said. I went to the computer section and logged into the public terminal. I searched financial exploitation of elderly. Dozens of articles appeared. I clicked on the first one. Warning signs of elder financial abuse. Sudden changes in bank accounts or spending patterns. New friends or relatives appearing and taking control. Unusual withdrawals or credit card charges. Victim becomes isolated from other family or friends. Forged signatures on financial documents. My hands trembled as I read. Every single point described my situation. I printed the articles. Then I searched how to prove financial exploitation. The advice was clear. Gather documentation, bank statements, emails, text messages. Prove the pattern. Prove the intent. I could do that. When I got home, I opened my laptop and logged into my bank account. I downloaded 12 months of statements. Then I opened my email and searched for messages from Brandon. There weren't many. He preferred texting, but there was one email from 3 months ago. Subject: Casino Strategy Tips. Inside, Brandon had sent me a link to a website about guaranteed winning systems. I clicked the link. The page didn't exist anymore, but I took a screenshot of the email anyway. Next, I went through my text messages. I scrolled back through months of conversations with Brandon. Machine B17 is hot today. You should try the high limit room. Better payouts. Rebates are like insurance. You can't lose. I took screenshots of everything. That night, I spread all the documents on my dining room table. Bank statements showing the withdrawals. Screenshots of Brandon's texts. My notebook with the timeline of events. It looked damning. But would it be enough? The next day, Brandon texted, "Aunt Rainey want to go to the casino Saturday?" I stared at the message. I typed, "Sure," because I needed to keep him close. I needed more evidence. On Friday, Brandon came over to help me fix a leaky faucet. While he was under the sink, his phone sat on the counter. It buzzed. A text message appeared on the screen. From Vic, "Time's up. I want my money." Brandon didn't see it. I memorized the number. After Brandon left, I did something I'd never done before. I called the number. A man answered. Rough voice. "Yeah? Is this Vic?" "Who's asking?" "I'm calling about Brandon." There was a pause. "You his aunt?" My blood ran cold. "He knew about me." "Yes. Tell that little punk he owes me 45 grand. And if he doesn't pay by the end of the month, I'm coming for him." $45,000? Gambling debts. He's been dodging me for 6 months. The line went dead. I sat there, phone in hand, staring at nothing. $45,000. Brandon was in debt, and he needed my money to pay it off. On Saturday, I went to the casino with Brandon as planned. But this time, I watched him carefully. Every move, every word. At one point, he excused himself to use the restroom. I followed at a distance. He didn't go to the restroom. He went to the player services desk. I hid behind a row of slot machines and watched. Brandon was talking to an employee, not Marcus, someone else. He handed the employee a piece of paper. The employee nodded and typed something into the computer. Then Brandon walked away. I approached the desk. "Excuse me, what did that man just ask for?" The employee looked uncomfortable. "I can't share information about other guests. Please, he's my nephew, and I think he's doing something to my account." She hesitated. Then she leaned in and whispered, "He asked me to increase the frequency of promotional mailers for Lorraine Johnson." My stomach turned. "Did you do it?" I told him I couldn't without the account holder's permission. "Thank you," I whispered. That night, I couldn't sleep. Brandon was manipulating my account. He was increasing the coupons. He was feeding my addiction. On purpose. The next morning, I went back to the casino. Alone. I asked to speak to a manager. A woman in her 50s came out. Her name tag said Diana. "How can I help you, Mrs. Johnson? I need to see the records of who signed me up for my player's card." Diana frowned. "That's unusual. But let me check." She went to a computer and typed. After a moment, she looked up. "Your account was created 11 months ago. The application was submitted online. Can I see the signature?" She printed a document and handed it to me. I stared at it. The signature said Lorraine Johnson. But it wasn't my handwriting. It was close. But the loops were wrong. The slant was different. Someone had forged my signature. "This isn't my signature," I said. Diana's expression changed. "Mrs. Johnson, if someone opened this account without your permission, that's identity theft." "I know who did it," I said quietly. I took the document home. I compared it to Brandon's handwriting, a birthday card he'd given me, a grocery list he'd written. The loops matched. The slant matched. It was him. Brandon had forged my signature and signed me up for the player's card. Without my knowledge, without my permission, I made an appointment with a lawyer. Her name was Rebecca Hall. She specialized in elder law. I brought everything. The bank statements, the screenshots, the forged signature. Rebecca listened carefully. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. Mrs. Johnson, this is financial exploitation. Possibly fraud. Can I sue him? Yes, but it will take time, and it's not guaranteed you'll recover the money. What about criminal charges? She hesitated. That's harder. You'd need to prove intent. And since you voluntarily went to the casino, a prosecutor might argue you made your own choices. But he lied to me. He manipulated me. I believe you, but proving it in court is difficult. I felt tears prick my eyes. So he gets away with it? Not necessarily. We can file a civil suit. We can pursue a restraining order. And if we find enough evidence, we can report him to the police. What do I do now? Rebecca looked at me seriously. Stop going to the casino. Cut off contact with Brandon. And document everything. I drove home in a daze. Stop going to the casino. It sounded so simple, but the thought of it made my chest tight. Where would I go? What would I do? The casino was the only place I felt something, even if that something was pain. That night, my phone buzzed. Brandon, Aunt Rainey, want to grab dinner tomorrow? I stared at the message. I typed, I don't think so. I'm not feeling well. 3 dots appeared. He was typing. Oh no, do you need anything? I can bring soup. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Finally, I typed no. I just need rest. Okay, let me know if you change your mind. Love you. I put the phone down. Love you. He didn't love me. He loved my money. I sat on the couch staring at the wall. For the first time in a year, I didn't think about the casino. I thought about what came next. I thought about whether I was strong enough to do this alone. And I thought about Robert. What would he say if he could see me now? I closed my eyes and imagined his voice. Rainey, you're tougher than you think. I took a breath. Maybe he was right. Maybe I still had some fight left in me. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, rehearsing what I would say. By the time the sun came up, I knew what I had to do. I sent Brandon a text. Can you come over today? I need to talk to you about something important. He replied within minutes. Of course. Is everything okay? Just come at 2. See you then. I spent the morning preparing. I laid out all the evidence on the dining room table. Bank statements showing $43,000 in losses. Screenshots of his text. The forged signature from the casino application. The printed articles about elder financial abuse. My notebook with the timeline. Everything. Then I made a pot of coffee and waited. At exactly 2 p.m., Brandon knocked. I opened the door. He smiled. Hey, Aunt Rainey. What's going on? Come in. Sit down. He followed me to the dining room. When he saw the paper spread across the table, his smile faltered. What's all this? Sit, I said again. He sat. I remained standing. Brandon, I said slowly, I know what you've been doing. His face went carefully neutral. What do you mean? I picked up the forged signature. This is the application for my casino player's card. It was submitted 11 months ago, right after you started visiting me. I placed it in front of him. That's not my signature. It's yours. Brandon stared at it. Aunt Rainey, I don't. Don't lie to me, I said, my voice shaking. I compared it to your handwriting. It matches. He opened his mouth. Closed it. I was trying to help you, he said finally. You were so lonely. I thought the casino would give you something to do. By forging my signature, you wouldn't have signed up yourself. I wanted to make it easier. I picked up another document. This is a record of promotional mailing sent to my address. Before you came into my life, I received 5 per week. After you came, it jumped to 12 per week. I placed it in front of him. You requested that increase. I have a witness. Brandon's jaw tightened. You're twisting this. Am I? I picked up my notebook. Every time you texted me about a hot machine, you were already at the casino. You weren't giving me tips. You were luring me there. I was trying to spend time with you. No, I said. You were controlling me. Brandon stood up. Aunt Rainey, I think you're confused. You're not thinking clearly. Don't, I said sharply. Don't you dare tell me I'm confused. He held up his hands. I'm just saying, you've been under a lot of stress. The casino, the money. Maybe you're not remembering things right. I felt a flash of rage. I'm 71 years old. Not senile. I didn't say that. You implied it. He sighed, his tone softening. Aunt Rainey, I love you. I've been trying to help. If you feel like I did something wrong, I'm sorry. But I never meant to hurt you. It was a good performance. Almost convincing. But I saw the calculation in his eyes. I picked up my phone. I called Vic. Brandon froze. What? The man you owe $45,000. He told me everything. The color drained from Brandon's face. You had no right. You have gambling debts, I continued. You needed money, and you saw me as an easy target. That's not true. You and Marcus were working together. I heard you. In the casino hallway, Brandon's expression changed. The warmth vanished. In its place was something cold. You were spying on me? I overheard you. You said, after she sells the house. He stared at me. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then Brandon laughed. It was a bitter, ugly sound. You want to know the truth, Aunt Rainey? Yes. He leaned forward. You were dying in this house. Alone. Pathetic. Talking to plants because nobody else would talk to you. I flinched. I gave you something to do. I gave you a reason to get out of bed. And yeah, I helped myself a little. So what? You were going to waste that money anyway. At least this way, someone benefits. My hands clenched. You stole from me. I helped you spend it, he shot back. You wanted to go to the casino. You wanted the excitement. I just facilitated. You manipulated me. I gave you what you wanted. I wanted family, I said, my voice breaking. I wanted someone who cared. Brandon stood up. Well, congratulations. You got a nephew who showed up. Who spent time with you? Who made you feel less alone? That's more than your son ever did. The words hit like a slap, but I forced myself to stay calm. Get out, gladly. He grabbed his jacket. At the door, he turned back. You know what the saddest part is? You're going to end up right back where you started. Alone. Because nobody actually wants to be around you. He walked out. The door slammed. I stood there, shaking, tears streaming down my face. I called Rebecca, my lawyer, that night. He admitted it. Not all of it, but enough. Did you record the conversation? No. She sighed. It's okay. We have other evidence. I'll file a police report on your behalf, and we'll pursue a civil suit. What are the chances I'll get my money back? Honestly, not high, but we can try. The police came to my house 2 days later. 2 officers, a man and a woman. They took my statement. They looked at the evidence. They were kind, professional, but I could see the doubt in their eyes. Mrs. Johnson, the female officer said gently, did your nephew ever physically force you to go to the casino? No. Did he take money directly from your accounts without your knowledge? Not exactly, but he manipulated me. We believe you. But without direct theft, this is hard to prosecute. What about the forged signature? That's promising. We'll investigate, but it may end up being a civil matter, not criminal. They left. I sat on my couch, feeling defeated. Rebecca called a week later. The DA declined to press charges, insufficient evidence. I closed my eyes. So he gets away with it. Not entirely. The civil suit is moving forward. And I have good news. The casino is cooperating. What? I contacted their corporate office. Explained the situation. They reviewed the surveillance footage and internal records. They found evidence that Marcus was sharing your account information with Brandon. That's a violation of their policies. So what happens? Marcus was fired. And the casino is offering you a settlement. $18,000. I blinked. $18,000? It's not full restitution, but it's something. They want to avoid a lawsuit. What about Brandon? We're still pursuing him separately. But it will take time. I thought about it. $18,000. It wouldn't erase what I'd lost. But it was more than I expected. I'll take it, I said. 2 months later, the civil suit against Brandon concluded. The judge found him partially liable. He was ordered to pay $15,000 in restitution. Not the full $43,000 I'd lost. But something. Brandon didn't show up to the hearing. His lawyer said he'd moved out of state. I didn't care. I just wanted it to be over. With the $18,000 from the casino and the $15,000 from Brandon, I recovered $33,000. Not everything, not even close, but it was enough to stabilize. My savings account, which had dropped to $35,000, climbed back to $50,000 after the settlements and my continued monthly income. I still had credit card debt. I still had regrets. But I wasn't drowning anymore. 3 months after the confrontation, I did something I should have done a year ago. I went to a Gamblers Anonymous meeting. It was in the basement of a church. Folding chairs arranged in a circle. About 15 people, some my age, some younger, all of us carrying the same weight. The facilitator, a man in his 60s, smiled at me. Welcome. Would you like to share? I hesitated. Then I nodded. My name is Lorraine, and I'm a compulsive gambler. Hi, Lorraine, the group said in unison. I took a breath. I lost $43,000 in a year. I was manipulated by someone I trusted. But I also made my own choices. I kept going back even when I knew I was losing. Even when I knew something was wrong. My voice cracked. I thought the casino cared about me. I thought the lights and the sounds meant I was special. But I was just another person feeding money into a machine. I wiped my eyes. I don't know how to fill the space that gambling left. I don't know how to be okay with silence. But I'm here, and I'm trying. The facilitator nodded. That's all any of us can do. Keep trying. After the meeting, a woman approached me. She was around my age. Gray hair, kind eyes. I'm Patricia. I heard your story. It sounds a lot like mine. Really? My son-in-law. Same thing. He said he was helping me. Turned out he was helping himself. Did you get your money back? She shook her head. No, but I got my dignity back, and that's worth more. I nodded slowly. How long have you been coming here? 5 years. I haven't gambled in 4 years and 8 months. Does it get easier? She smiled sadly. Some days, other days I still think about it. The rush, the hope, but then I remember what it cost me, and I choose differently. I'm glad you're here, I said. I'm glad you're here too. That night I sat in my living room. The house was quiet, but for the first time in a long time, the silence didn't feel suffocating. It felt peaceful. I picked up a book, one I'd been meaning to read for months. I opened to the first page, and I read. 2 years have passed since I confronted Brandon. 730 days without stepping foot in a casino. Some days are harder than others, but I'm still here. I go to GA meetings twice a week now, Tuesday evenings and Saturday mornings. I know everyone's names. They know mine. Patricia and I have become friends, real friends. We meet for coffee once a week and talk about everything except gambling, books, gardening, the weather, normal things. It feels good. 6 months after my last casino visit, I started volunteering at the library again. Nothing official, just a few hours a week, helping patrons find books, organizing the returns cart, being useful. The head librarian, a woman named Michelle, welcomed me back with open arms. We missed you, Lorraine. I miss this place too. It's where I belong. My son called me last Christmas. Out of the blue. Mom, I'm sorry I haven't been around more. I was quiet for a moment. It's okay. No, it's not. I should have checked in. I should have known something was wrong. You couldn't have known. Still, I want to do better. We talked for an hour. He told me about his job, his life in Oregon. I told him about GA, about the library, about moving forward. At the end of the call, he said, I'm proud of you, Mom. I cried after we hung up. Good tears this time. One afternoon, I got a call from Rebecca, my lawyer. Lorraine, I thought you'd want to know. Brandon was arrested in Nevada. For what? Financial exploitation. He tried the same scheme with another elderly woman. But this time, her daughter caught on early. Is he in jail? Awaiting trial. The evidence is stronger this time. He might actually face charges. I felt a strange mix of emotions. Satisfaction, sadness. Mostly, I just felt tired. Thank you for telling me. How are you doing? Rebecca asked. Better. Day by day. I'm glad. About a year after I stopped gambling, I did something unexpected. I went to the senior center in town. They were hosting a community education event. Financial safety for seniors. I signed up to attend. But when I got there, the speaker had canceled last minute. The coordinator, a young woman named Emma, looked panicked. We have 40 people here. I don't know what to do. I surprised myself. I could speak. Emma looked at me. About what? About how casinos target vulnerable people. About what to watch for. She hesitated. Are you comfortable with that? I thought about it. Then I nodded. Yes, I think I am. I stood in front of 40 seniors and told my story. Not all of it, but enough. I explained the tactics, the personalized mail, the free offers, the VIP treatment, how they tracked losses and increased marketing to people who were losing the most, how they created an illusion of friendship and belonging. They made me feel special, I said. But I was just a number, a profitable number. When I finished, the room was silent. Then someone started clapping. Soon everyone was clapping. After the talk, 7 people came up to me. That was my story, too. My husband lost everything before he passed. I didn't realize they were targeting me. One woman, around 75, took my hand. Thank you. I needed to hear this. Emma asked me to come back the following month. Then the month after that. Word spread. Soon I was giving talks at senior centers across the county. I became known as the casino lady. It was strange, but also empowering. My pain had a purpose now. About 18 months after I stopped gambling, I received an email. It was from a woman named Dorothy. She'd been at one of my talks. Dear Lorraine, I heard you speak last month. Your story gave me the courage to confront my own gambling problem. I've been going to the Riverboat Casino 3 times a week for 2 years. I've lost over $60,000. After hearing you, I joined GA. I haven't been back to the casino in 6 weeks. Thank you for being brave enough to share, Dorothy. I read the email 3 times. Then I cried, not from sadness, from something else. Relief, purpose, hope. I started collecting stories. People would email me or stop me after talks. They'd tell me about the coupons, the phone calls, the hosts who remembered their birthdays. The patterns were always the same. I compiled everything into a document, 23 pages. Then I sent it to the State Gaming Commission and to a local newspaper reporter. The reporter, a man named David, called me. Mrs. Johnson, this is incredible. Can we meet? We met at a coffee shop. I told him everything. My story, Brandon's story, the stories of the people I'd met. He took notes for 2 hours. This is predatory, he said. They're exploiting vulnerable people. I know. Would you be willing to go on the record? I hesitated. Going public meant exposing my shame. But it also meant protecting others. Yes, I said. The article ran 3 weeks later. Front page of the local section. Local woman exposes casino marketing tactics, targeting seniors. My photo was there. My story was there. Everything. I braced myself for judgment. But instead, I received calls. Dozens of them. I went through the same thing. Thank you for speaking up. You're so brave. One woman told me she'd been receiving 12 coupons a day. Another said a casino host had her personal cell phone number and texted her daily. We weren't alone. None of us were. With Rebecca's help, I organized a group. 22 people who'd experienced similar targeting. We filed a formal complaint with the casino's corporate office. Not a lawsuit, just a complaint. But it was backed by documentation, evidence, stories. The casino responded. They denied wrongdoing, but they also quietly changed their policies. They reduced the frequency of mailers. They added mandatory responsible gambling prompts to their player accounts. They fired 2 more hosts who were found to be sharing customer information. It wasn't everything, but it was something. My savings account sits at $56,000 now. Not as much as I started with, but more than I had 2 years ago. I'm careful with money now. I budget. I track. I plan. Every dollar matters. The credit card debt is gone. It took me a year and a half, but I paid it off. The day I made the final payment, I called Patricia. I did it. I'm debt-free. She cheered on the other end of the line. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for believing in me. You did the work, Lorraine. You saved yourself. I still get mail from the casino. Not as much as before, but occasionally, a bright envelope appears in my mailbox. We miss you, Lorraine. Here's $50 in free play. I don't open them anymore. I tear them up and throw them away. Sometimes I feel a small pull, a whisper of temptation. But I remember the empty bank account. I remember Brandon's cold eyes. I remember the despair. And I choose differently. Last month, I gave a talk at the community college. About 50 students attended. Young people, 18, 19, 20 years old. I told them about online gambling, sports betting apps, The algorithms that track behavior and push notifications. It's not just seniors, I said. It's everyone. If you're vulnerable, they'll find you. After the talk, a young man approached me. My roommate is betting on his phone constantly. I didn't realize it was this serious. Talk to him, I said. Before it's too late, he nodded. Thank you. This morning, I woke up at 6:30. I made oatmeal with blueberries. I read the newspaper. I watered Robert's plants. They're thriving now, full and green. I talk to them sometimes. But now I also have other people to talk to. Patricia, Michelle from the library, Emma from the senior center. Real people, real connections. At noon, I drove to the senior center. I was scheduled to give another talk. Recognizing Financial Manipulation, a Survivor's Guide. 30 people showed up. I told my story. Again, it never gets easy, but it gets easier. When I finished, a woman in the back row stood up. She was crying. I've been going to the casino 4 times a week. I didn't think I could stop. You can, I said gently. How? One day at a time, one choice at a time, and by asking for help. She nodded, wiping her eyes. After the talk, she came up to me. Will you give me the number for GA? Yes. And I'll be there on Tuesday if you want someone to sit with. She hugged me. Thank you. That evening, I sat in my living room with a cup of tea. I thought about the last 2 years. Everything I'd lost, everything I'd found. I didn't get all my money back. I didn't get justice, not really. Brandon is awaiting trial, but I don't know if he'll ever truly pay for what he did. The casino still operates, still sends mailers, still profits from people like me. But I survived. I got out, and I'm helping others do the same. That has to count for something. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. Coffee tomorrow? I smiled and typed back. Yes. 10 a.m.? Perfect. See you then. I put the phone down. Outside, the sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink. Beautiful. I walked to the window and looked out at my quiet street. Mrs. Patterson was watering her flowers. She saw me and waved. I waved back. Later that night, I opened my notebook, the one where I'd tracked everything during the worst year of my life. I flipped to the last page, and I wrote, Today I chose not to gamble. Tomorrow I'll choose again. That's all I can do. That's enough. I closed the notebook. I won't throw it away. It's a reminder of where I've been, of where I'm not going back to. Before bed, I checked the mail one last time. There it was, a bright red envelope. Lorraine, we miss you. $50 free play waiting. I held it for a moment, then I tore it in half, and I threw it in the trash. Tomorrow, there might be another. But tomorrow, I'll tear that one up too. One day at a time, one choice at a time. I'm free, not because I got everything back, but because I stopped letting them take more. And that's the quietest, strongest kind of